think you should.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Whoscussion. For part B, again, we're going to be covering Grand Theft Cosmos, an 8th Doctor and Lucy story, and then finishing it off with the Short Trip Crystal Ball.
Yes, not Young Lions.
Not Young Lions. Not Young Lions.
But hey, Young Lions is cool too.
Well, that's good.
It's a good listen if you want to listen.
Yeah, and then when we get to it, when we're supposed to, I'll listen to it as well.
I don't know when it's supposed to be in the 8th Doctor canon, but it feels like it could have fit in between the last 8th Doctor and Grand Theft Cosmos.
Yeah, as Harry's going to inform me, it does appear to be filler. It is.
Well, it's a short.
Oh, no, so kidding! We would have been doing it not next week, but the week after next.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, yeah, big whip.
So that's okay. Anyway, we're going to do it in a fortnight.
If you're listening along with Whoscussion, then you should have been doing Crystal Ball. But otherwise, you're welcome to go and do Young Lions.
Yeah, you are very much welcome. Okay, so Grand Theft Cosmos, Harry's going to take us away.
All right, so we start off with Lucy and the Doctor landing in. What year was this again? It was like 19th century Sweden, right?
Yeah, it's 1898.
1898, there you go. 19th century Sweden. Aboard the train, aboard a train in Switzerland, fancy train. Doctor's having
in Sweden?
Yes, in Sweden. Is it in Sweden?
Yeah, it's in Sweden.
It is in Sweden, yes. But they end up around Stockholm and stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's also talk about a French person. I don't know. There's a lot of Europe stuff going on in there. But anyway, the main deal is the Doctor is marveling about the train, even though he's literally travels around in a time machine. But he's one of those people that has a toy train set in the TARDIS. So
yes, he does.
8th Doctor is a big train fan. So he's having a good time. Lucy's not having a good time because she wants to listen to an MP3 player, but she can't because it's the 1800s and if they know about MP3 players, they'll go mad.
I wonder what happens whenever she plays that song. That's that alien race the Doctor captured on the MP3 file.
I wonder too. I imagine that it depends
file
on
is corrupted.
Depends on the data compression. Whether or not her MP3 player is able to play it.
Yeah, probably just skip it.
Yeah, probably would just skip it. If it's an iPod, then yeah, we'll just skip it. I remember they just skipped corrupted files. So there you go, easy. Anyway, she said about that. The Doctor's like, okay, I'm gonna go get some food. Lucy's like, we literally just had breakfast, and he's just like, I've got 2 hearts. I have a high metabolism. All right. So he goes after the observation car. Lucy just goes and finds out that she finds that 2 people are trying to steal some stuff, particularly her former co-worker from the big giant robot thing, Karen. She's there, and she's trying to steal a diamond. And Lucy's like, holy crap, what are you doing here? This is crazy. They have a bit of a tussle. She steals some stuff and gets away, and Lucy finds out that she's with the headhunter, and they're being time traveling thieves and stuff. So she's having a good time. Meanwhile, the Doctor is talking to one Frederick Simonson, I believe is his name. Mm-hmm. That's what it says here in the wiki.
That is indeed his name.
And talks to them about the destination Stockholm, and he explains that he's an art acquisitioner for the king, and he is particularly fond of a particular set of items that come from an artist called Claudio Tardelli, I believe, who he believes is Italy's greatest artiste, but the Doctor knows is actually an alien in disguise who creates works, who manipulates the space-time continuum, and the Doctor's been basically trying to destroy them everywhere he sees them. So the Doctor's pretty interested by this, needless to say. there's a bit of a kerfuffle as they realize that something's been stolen on the train. Doctor and Lucy meet up, find out what it is. Doctor finds out that it's actually a fake, whatever they've stolen, some sort of diamond thing, black diamond that there is. I'm not sure how exactly that's an art piece, but it's still a treasure, I guess. So stealing it would be pretty bad. But anyway, they go along.
Even Lucy wonders that same thing. She's like, "It's an art piece, how?"
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. I don't know. But anyway, then all they know is that Claudia somehow created it, which is true. So anyway, they head off to Stockholm. They have a fantastic series of events where Lucy pulls this. I don't really know how to describe it, but just like the spy lady routine where she acts like she's dazed and all that sort of stuff. And
I love her rich lady voice.
Yeah, and being she's acting like a rich lady. The posh lady is great. It's like the TARDIS is translating for you. How does this go across? I don't understand. Anyway, they there's a whole bunch of funny stuff going down with that, and they work out a plan because they want to. Doctor explains to Lucy that these items are bad and that he wants to steal them and destroy them. Lucy's totally on board with this because she totally wants to be an art thief. They work out a plan to get this sorted, basically by transporting the TARDIS physically moving the TARDIS, not transporting it, into the castle, into the vault to steal the stuff, because anyone who sees it would just think it's a box. So she brings the box to the palace and manages to talk her way. Or not necessarily talk away. She gets Simonson to look inside the box. He immediately thinks it's a crazy a work of art illusion thing. So he totally wants to buy it and put it in the vault. So that's easy. Doctor's inside, steals some paintings. Meanwhile, the other two, Karen and the headhunter, are also trying to steal the diamond because they know that the diamond's a fake as well. So they've caught on enough to try and get the new one. They've hypnotized a guard who switches out the diamond and brings it to them inside the place, the castle. That's where they are in the castle. Brings it to them whilst the Doctor steals the fake one. Realizes it's the fake one, and they basically chase after Karen and stuff. Meanwhile, with that stuff, there is a big statue man who is the designated protector of the diamond, who has come alive and is chasing down the stolen diamond. So there's a bit of a kerfuffle about that when Lucy manages to get to Karen and the headhunter before they're about to whack Simonson over the head, basically. But the silicon-based life form, or the statue, breaks down the door, basically, and it's like, "Give me the diamond." And she shoots him with a laser. He gets dazed, the headhunter shoots him with a laser, and he gets dazed. They take Lucy away with the diamond and try to get away. The Doctor finally gets there, meets up with Simonson, and is like, "Well, we need to go get them. Obviously, they've stolen your diamond. I know a better way of getting away from here." So gets in the TARDIS and gets over to where they need to go. Which is apparently the train station. I'm not sure how we knew that, but anyway, it's a Doctor thing. He just knows these things. So they all board the train and do a little bit of a heist thing, basically, where they're running along the train trying to catch up with Karen and the headhunter and the diamond. The diamond apparently actually contains the artist Tardelli, and he is he obviously, because he's an alien, he's created a micro universe about 3 light years wide inside this diamond that has a bunch of people. He's basically a god for that. You
reckon you can use that to power a car?
Yeah, he could use that to power a car, actually. Yeah. Anyway, the idea is that he doesn't really care too much about that. The reason why the headhunter picked it up is because Tardelli is wanted. Not wanted. He is being offered a job as an artist for a fancy king of a planet somewhere, and she wants to sell the diamond as a power source to the Russians because obviously this is the time for it. Yes. Meanwhile, the Doctor has caught up with them, and and his, as well as the statue is caught up with them. They're all there having a time, and then the statue arrives and causes a bit of kerfuffle. There's a whole bunch of there's a lot of kerfuffle, but basically the Doctor talks the statue into realizing that Tardelli is not in any harm, and the statue was designed to protect Tardelli and the crystal, or the black diamond, and has basically evolved over the hundreds of years that he's been there, that he wants to protect the diamond and the people in the diamond more than anybody else. So he stops the headhunter from taking the diamond and being sold off his power, and cracks the diamond so that Tardelli has to basically release its people instead of using it as a power source. And eventually the headhunter, Karen, and Tardelli get away, but the Doctor's not too concerned about that, because the king that he's going to actually be the artist of turns out to be one of the people who eats artists. Yeah. That's basically the story. It's a good time.
The Doctor's like, well, that's finished him off.
Yeah. It's pretty great. But of course, the real ending is that the Doctor realizes that as much as he should really be destroying the art or getting rid of it in some way because it's damaging, instead of maybe doing that, he can, because doing that creates demand for those paintings. He realizes that maybe instead what he should do is remove the effect that they have and display them in a way that makes them not appealing in that way. And that's pretty much the end. My favorite particular parts about this is the fact that the Headhunter and Karen have turned into like a reverse of the Doctor and Lucy, but in the same sort of way, where these two, like, real Londoner ladies, just they have such a fun time, where like they've got a very similar personality about the whole thing, where they're just having a good time in the past, just doing crazy stuff, having like train fights. They even they like rustle around in a train in the 18th century or 19th century when they're thousands, and they're just having a good time and basically just coping with whatever comes of them. It's really great. It's really great.
I think my favorite moment is, I thought you were dead. Oh no, you must have misheard me. Yeah, I get it. I misheard dead for I'm actually in Sweden in the 19th century.
Yeah, that was
such a good, like, that's such good writing. Like, oh yeah, that's how I misheard it.
Yeah.
And Karen's like, yeah, that's exactly what you should have misheard it as. And Lucy's like, I'm not an idiot. What the hell? Like, it's absolutely perfect. This is great, and it's. I actually haven't listened to this one before, and I wasn't made aware of that until we started doing it for Whoscussion. But next week is the beginning of my favorite arc. But this is such a good, like, jump back on point. I think, like, a lot of the stuff before this, I think it's easy. You can just skip it.
Yeah, it's very filler. It's enjoyable. I think it's a good time. It's not, it's not like crazy, amazing big finishes we've had in the past. But it's still,
Charlie.
It's still, it's still a good time, nonetheless. Especially if you're out of other Doctor Who to listen to. But if you're only really concerned with, getting like straight to the point, then yeah, you can skip past most of the other stuff. But start the season off with Grand Theft Cosmos, because it does follow on from where Karen and Headhunter left off. So
yeah,
it makes sense for you to have that, and it is really good, and honestly better than a lot of the previous stuff we've had.
Yeah, I love the idea, like, because on the front cover of this story, the design of the Guardian.
Yeah,
I would love to see that realized, whether it be an animation or like some sort of like fan like live action reconstruction of the scene. Anything to have that thing realized, because I'd love to see the scene.
I understand why the Black Diamond's part of an art piece now.
Why?
The statue is the art piece, and he is holding the diamond.
And he's holding the diamond, of course.
Yep. So the diamond has been stolen as a separate piece of the art piece. So he's meant to be sitting somewhere with the diamond.
I see. That's actually cool. But I would love to see the scene where it walks in and Simonson's like, that's a walking giant statue. And like,
give me the diamond.
And when Eight's like, why do you believe me? He's like, I just saw a statue walk and talk.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like,
it's like the most like legitimate reason to believe the Doctor ever. Like, I've seen some crazy stuff happen, and I'm not denying it, so I'll believe that. Yeah.
I'm a time traveler, dude. I just saw a talking statue. That's probably more fascinating.
You can be whatever you want. I believe that you're the king of Denmark, right?
And like, I like that because like it gets past what Russell T Davies describes as the bane of classic Doctor Who, which is how does the Doctor get the other characters to allow them to help? And this was like a great way to get around that issue. Is I just saw something that boggles my mind, and I'm a pretty worldly guy, and I know that can't be real, but it just happened. So I believe you.
Exactly, and this is basically what a lot of classic Who do is they have just have a character experience something that's not like that sort of breaks them a little bit, and then have the Doctor show up and be like, I can explain all of that. It's fine. It's all good. And they'll be like, oh yeah, all right, we'll just go along with you. It's cool. It's a very reasonable like human response. Is if you're experience something that you're not sure about, that you can't really believe and you can't understand. But if there's someone, another person nearby who does seem to understand it and is confident in their understanding of it, you just believe that person. Right?
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, right. Because if someone delivers something with enough confidence, you probably believe it.
Yeah,
it's just human nature.
Exactly. I absolutely agree with that. I think one of my favorite ways they got around that in Classic Who was in the Ice Warriors, where the weather station is like, we can't explain what's going on, and the Doctor's like, if you don't make this calculation right now, the whole planet dies. And they make the calculation. They're like, oh, how did you know? And he's like, I'm a genius. They're like, yep, I can believe that. All right,
yeah.
let's hang out, Doctor. And then the leader of the... I love it when the leader's like, I don't believe the Doctor. And everybody else in the base is like, why? He's literally smarter than all of us put together.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Cosmos is fantastic. It's a joy. It really reminds me of early Charlie in 8 before the Divergence arc, where 8 was actually happy to be traveling with her. Yeah.
You're still sad about that. You ever get to get over it?
No, but I mean, like, this time it wasn't about how dead she is, okay? It was just a comparison I've made, is that this story feels like early Charlie, so early Divergent universe.
Yeah.
Pre-Divergence universe. And it's just great. They're having a good time. 8 and Lucy are like siblings, and like brother sister, especially the beginning of the story. He's like, trains, and she's like, you're that nerd who looks at trains. It's like, so? What does it matter you? Alright? I'm the Doctor. So yeah, I suggest this. I thoroughly suggest it. I think this one's a tiny bit pricier than the ones we usually suggest. I think it's about $4 American. So that's a little bit more than the usual price for our Big Finish. Again, we're not sponsored by Big Finish, but Gary Russell anytime. Hit me up on Twitter at far_no1. Just flick a brother a note. You know how it is. DM me. With that, guys, we're going to go into our last story, Crystal Ball, and I'm going to be as quick as I can, chiefly because I'm the only one to listen to it. I'm not having a go. It's just what happened. So Crystal Ball is 7 and 8. 7 and 8. 7 and Ace. It's read by Stephen Critchlow. He's one of my favorite readers for it. Him and John. Oh, I feel bad. John someone. The guy's really good at doing 4. But basically, the Doctor turns up at this place, and apparently there's this guy who's a really, really famous medium, and the Doctor's like, I don't believe in this stuff, and this guy's making accurate predictions. I need to know how he's doing that. So he turns up, and I believe we've done a story similar with the Third Doctor.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, there was the Third Doctor. That guy who became a TV celebrity.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a bit similar, but it's the 19th century, so he can't be a TV celebrity. It's a little bit different. So Seven walks up, and he's like, they're like, how did you get into the house? And he's like, I was let through. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, how do you know me? Oh, I know you through your brother. And he goes, I don't have a brother. And he goes, your cousin. And then Seven... And it is like, I only have one cousin. And how would you know them? And the Doctor touches like all of his pockets. And he goes, come on, future me. I have to put this somewhere. And he pulls it out and he goes, awesome. And then he explains to Ace that a future incarnation of himself is going around giving past doctors letters.
What?
Yeah, to help them get out of like awkward situations. And Ace is like, how do you know that? He's like, I just do, Ace. And so
I'm gonna do it.
So apparently there's a future incarnation of the Doctor that's doing that. And so he hands him the letter, and then the guy's
it's
like...
11. It's absolutely
11. Yeah, I can imagine it's 11, eh? And he's doing his giraffe dance when he's doing it.
Yeah.
So the guy goes, oh, okay, cool. This is from a cousin. That's her handwriting. Awesome. Hey, so what do you want to know? And he goes, I want you to use your powers of prediction. And so the Doctor's like, I want you to know when this is going to happen. And I can't remember exactly what the event was, but I think it was World War One. And the guy's like super accurate, and the Doctor's like, nah, this is BS. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. Yeah. And so the Doctor's like, okay, all right, this is crazy. But when he was doing the prediction, he spewed out this sort of mist that Ace describes as being greasy. So this greasy mist comes out, and she's like, oh, it smells like a butcher. Like she's like, it smells like being in a butchery. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And they leave, and the Doctor's like, Ace, you've got psychic powers now. And she's like, what? How do I have psychic powers? And he's like, well, Ace, that stuff that came out of him is actually bits of his body. And she's like, what?
Well,
he's like, the reason it smelled like a butcher is because it's pieces of him, literally. And now they're inside you because you breathed them in, Ace. What about you, Doctor? Oh, no, my Time Lord biology would fight it. So, Ace, I'm gonna use the TARDIS to amplify your psychic energy, and I want you to use that to tell the TARDIS where the original origin of the superpower is from. And so he amplifies Ace as this, like, echo chamber of psychokinesis. And he finds out, he's like, oh, okay, cool. So this ball is actually, the crystal ball that he uses to channel this energy is actually an entity, and it's trying to break through into our universe. Sweet!
Of course.
So he, like, goes back into the house, and he sees the fella who they saw earlier. He was all wizened and, like, all, like, gross looking. And then the nurse gives him this fluid to drink, and he, like, turns into a 30-year-old man from being, like, 80 looking. And then he starts walking around. He's like, oh, sweet, awesome, I feel great.
Good stuff.
And so the Doctor walks in and he goes, hey. And they're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I know exactly what you are.
I heard that people were becoming immortal in here. You know how I hate them.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, that's pretty good tonic you've got there. And then the nurse is like, you need to drink it too. And the Doctor's like, okay. So he drinks it. And then he's like, okay, Ace, I need you to do some psychic stuff. And Ace like starts getting all like, oh, and starts psychicking out. And so the Doctor's like, Ace, instead of using your own body, find somebody else's body to use. So Ace dematerializes the nurse and uses the energy of her corpse to create a portal to the creatures. And then the seventh Doctor goes, hey, creatures, and they're like, we're going to come through and destroy your universe. He's like, actually, I've got a cooler idea than that. I'm going to turn you literally into a crystal ball. And he turns their whole race into a crystal ball, literally. And now they're no longer a people. So he then takes them into the TARDIS, chucks them into a box, and he's like, hey, Ace, what's up? And Ace is like, what did we just do? And he's like, oh, we used the bodies of the people to trap this race in this thing. And Ace is like, why did you have to use me? And he's like, oh, sorry, I guess.
Sorry,
and
my biology wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, cool, let's go. So that was Crystal Ball. And 7 is 7.
7 is indeed 7.
I was just like...
Everyone's 7th incarnation.
I was like, that is the most JNT short trip I think we've ever had. I think the only thing that was this close is that time where there was that alternate timeline. Oh, no, it wasn't even an alternate timeline. Oh, wait.
I had the theme.
Oh, hang on a second. Alright, I'm going to just quickly just hang up. I actually needed to take that, but I'm recording, so go away. So
I see.
So this is the last time we had one that was this Jonathan Nathery was when Romana and Four were forced to live on that apocalyptic world. That was really, really good. And this had, and that was J&T feeling. This is also J&T feeling, but like Demon 7, which is my favorite 7.
Yeah.
And he
everybody's favorite 7.
Yeah. And he turned a whole race into a literal crystal ball.
That sounds familiar. Like some witches got into a crystal ball.
Yeah. This is true. That reminds me of something. I can't put my finger on what.
We'll cover that in a couple of weeks. Anyway, that was Whoscussion. I didn't manage to go over crystal ball, so I don't have an opinion on it. But it sounds amazing, and I will have to listen.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, seven is crazy. Crazy. But the Young Lions is also good. 8 is also really good. So I won't spoil that yet. We'll get to that. But that's part B. It was a good time.
It was. I suggest both stories. This one, the last one we did, Crystal Ball, is actually free on their Spotify.
Oh, nice.
So again, we're not affiliated, but Gary Russell, you know who I am. All right, you obviously know me. You got my phone number. I know you do. So we'll catch you guys next week.
All right.